It's the name of that movie. You just said.
Trembling before God. Okay, so we've learned this section in the past, and we're going to learn it again. I think it was over a year ago, and it's from a sefer that was put together actually by Yachad Wit years ago, and then got republished in 2 volumes by Davri Shir. So this is about Rosh Chodesh. Here's a book. Okay, so it starts on page 15. So the Indian is like this. In the Jewish view, everything is significant. Okay, the fact that we count by the moon is significant. The way the moon moves, the fact that the moon gets bigger and gets smaller every month is significant. Each month is another. It's understood as the light of Hashem coming down differently than from the previous month, right? There are 12 possible permutations of the divine name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and each month has its own particular permutation. The way the letters are arranged, as they start in the Brona Siddur, the base tefillah. Right there, right. Put your hand forward. Yeah, I know from there. Yeah. So you see that if you're a little bit Kabbalistic, when you daven the Musaf for Rosh Chodesh, and you say, give me this title. And you say, Baruch Hashem HaKadosh, HaKadoshim, Yisrael Rosh HaKadoshim, right? So then in the, when you say the divine name, so you see that each month has a different permutation of the letters, right? Which basically means, without knowing too much about it, basically means that there's Anochi, might be read in the Aseret Dibros, Anochi Hashem Elokecho, right? So Anochi is Hashem be'atzmusai, Hashem's essence, and Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is the way Hashem is manifesting to us in this world, and each month the light is coming in a different way. So it's not that there happens to be 12 months and there happens to be 12 permutations of the divine name, but rather because there are 12 permutations of the divine name, that's why there are 12 months. Okay, so Bichlal, the whole concept of of cycles and revolutions, right, is a very, very important concept. And we live in spirals of many sizes. There's an hourly spiral, there's a daily spiral, there's a 7-day spiral. In other words, it takes 7 days to make the revolution. There's a yearly spiral, there's a 7-year spiral, there's a 50-year spiral. And the point of that is that wherever you are today, for example, if we're talking about the 7-year spiral, so that means that 7 years ago you were probably dealing with the same things that you're dealing with now. The question is, are you moving up the spiral or are you moving down the spiral? This idea is found in the Alshich. The Alshich was, in the time of the Arizal, the Alshich also lived in Tzfas. The Beis Yosef was living there at the same time. The Beis Yosef was the Rav, the Arizal was the Mekubal, the Alshich was the Darshan. And if you look carefully in the parsha after the flood, when the Rebbeinu Shalom is promising to Noach that he's not going to make another flood, so it's a little passage, a little parsha of 9 psukim, and in those 9 psukim, you have the word bris, covenant, appearing 7 times. And the question is, why does the word appear 7 times? Like, Hashem keeps on saying, and when I'm going to make the rainbow sign, I'll remember the bris, that there isn't going to be another covenant 7 times. So Rosh says, Al Zeh Nemar Ki Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kom. Why is the Torah saying it 7 times? The Torah is teaching us that you should know that you could make a commitment in life. And even though you made a commitment once in life, you should know that at least 7 times you're going to have to renew the commitment. In other words, it's not so frustrating. You can wake up this morning and you can decide from now on, I'm going to be a really good man. I'm not going to speak Lashon Hara. Well, okay, but you're going to be tested again. You're going to be tested again, and so on. Now, the Alter Rebbe explains that Kisheva Yipol Tzaddik V'Kom, that the Tzaddik falls 7 times. It doesn't mean that he amamish crashes. It doesn't mean that 7 times in his life he's going to eat something that he's not allowed, or he's going to say something he's not allowed. But the whole process of making progress, of moving. How do you walk? You stand on 2 feet. How do you walk? You lift 1 foot to move forward, right? Now, as soon as you lift that foot, you're actually giving up stability. So how do you go up a ladder? You go from 1 step to the next step. But in between each step, there's an empty space. And in that empty space, you're lacking stability. And so that's the nature of the way Hashem created us, is that in order to make progress, you have to be willing to give up the stability of the place that you were at before. But Kisheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kom, there's a way to do it without actually mamish crashing. So the whole point of cycles is that the Ishbitzer says that every time a revolution is completed, it's as if you're hitting a kind of a soft spot. Meaning to say that there's a danger. What's the danger? The danger is that you're either going to go down the spiral, or even if you're going to stay on the same plane, instead of going up, it's already considered like a crash, because you're not making progress anymore. Now, what about, for example, a student of the Baal Shem Tov once asked the Baal Shem Tov, why is it that 2 weeks ago I had this awesome Shabbos, and this last Shabbos was like flat, plain? What happened? I did everything the same, right? What Shem Tov says, you ever see how a child learns how to walk? The father or the mother is holding the kid by the hands, and the father is taking a step backwards, and the kid is taking a step, another step, another step. And what does the father do at a certain point? Let's go, right? Now, at that moment, the kid has this tremendous anxiety, but if you would never let it go, the kid wouldn't learn how to walk. You have to let go so that the kid is motivated to take the next step. Now, so he says, 2 weeks ago, we had a great Shabbos because Hashem was holding your hand. Last Shabbos, Hashem let go of your hand. Not that there was anything wrong with Shabbos, but Hashem wanted you to take the next step. Okay, so if, let's say, somebody takes on a mitzvah, somebody becomes a Shomer Shabbos, and the second Shabbos he does it the same way like he does the first Shabbos, it's already not the same. It's already not the same. Understand? It's already, he's lost something, you know. Once Rav Shlomo told us the story that the Alter Rebbe and Rav Levi Yitzchak Kabadishev, they saw these two Talmidim going into the mikveh, yes, Kimte. And I'll wait for him. There's another person there too. Okay. So he saw these two Talmidim going, they were Erev Shabbos, they were going into the mikveh. Hi. And they looked like really very, very holy, like, you know, like they were shining. So they waited to see what are they going to look like when they come out of the mikveh. And when they came out of the mikveh, they weren't so shining anymore. Why? Because going into the mikveh, they were full of anticipation of something that they wanted to achieve. Once they were in the mikveh, they thought they already achieved it, so they weren't anymore on the same madriga. So the point is that you always have to keep moving forward. Jerry, you can sit here if you want to. There's no women today. You always have to keep moving forward. You always have to keep moving forward. So comes a new month. There's something to be learned. There's something has to be different this month. Something has to be new. The word month in Hebrew is Yareach, which also means moon, and it's Chodesh, new, right? Okay. Page 15. So Rav Shlomo says, Hayareach v'Hashemesh, Pnimiyut v'Chitzoniyut. So there's the sun and there's the moon, right? There's the moon and the sun. So why do we count by the moon? So he says, as is known to you, we Jews count time, the months by the moon. Our calendar is a lunar calendar. So everybody thinks, the whole world thinks that the sun is the most important thing. We say, no, it's the moon. Now, the basic reason that we count by the moon and not by the sun is basically because the moon doesn't have its own light, and it's just reflecting the sun's light. And the idea is that we're saying we don't have our own light. What we hope to do as best as possible is to reflect Hashem's light. So Shlomo goes on and he says, according to the Kabbalah, the sun illuminates only the external light, the superficial light of God. Whereas the moon is revealing the inner light. It's something else. And then Rav Shlomo goes on to give some examples. He says, for example, let's say I'm going out and I want to marry somebody. אנחנו לא עומדים בשעה 12 בצהריים ומסתכלים על השמש. We don't stand outside at 12 o'clock and look at the sun, right? ולמה? כי השמש לא מראה לך משהו פנימי. The sunlight, it just shows you the superficial. השמש מראה לך את האור החיצוני. It shows you the external light. למה בעלי עסקים נפגשים יחד במשך היום ולא בלילה? Why do business people meet during the day and not at night? הם לא סובלים את הירח, because they don't like the moonlight. או פנימי זה לא בשבילם, inner light is not for them. או חיצוני, לספור דולרים, להראות כוח, זה כן. It's external light, to count money, and to show how much power you have and how much wealth you have. That's what interests them, right? They don't want to know, I got something to sell, Moshe. I don't want to know who you are, what you are. I don't care about your kishkis, understand? I don't care about your pneumias. We want to do a business deal, and so. But אנשי הירח, כשהם אוהבים מישהו, moon people, when they love somebody, הם רוצים מאוד להיפגש איתו כשהירח מאיר. They want to meet when the moon is shining, בלילה. הירח והלילה כל כך עמוקים, because the moon and the night are so much deeper. במשך היום, אם אני צריך להיפגש עם אנשים שאני לא סובל, during the day, I have to meet people that I can stand. אני בכל זאת, אני נפגש איתם, I meet them anyway, זה לא מצער אותי כל כך, it doesn't hurt me so much to meet them during the day. אבל תארו לעצמכם, אם אני צריך להיפגש עם מישהו שאני לא סובל מאוחר בלילה, but if I have to meet somebody that I really don't like, and I have to meet them at night, זה פשוט לא הולך, it doesn't work. ולמה? Why not? כי בלילה זה הפנימיות שלנו, because at night is the inner aspect, the inner dimension of the person that's more revealed. אנשי השמש ישנים בלילה, the moon people sleep, the sun people sleep at night, או שהם סתם מבלים בשטחיות, or they סתם wasting their time on superficial things. אנשי הירח ערים כל הלילה, the moon people, they're awake all night long, האנשים האמיתיים יודעים שאור הלילה כל כך יותר עמוק. The moon people, they know, real people know that the light that's shining at night is so much deeper. So החודש מתחיל בקרן האור הראשונה של הירח, and the month begins with the first ray of light of the moon. Okay, now, besides being, beautiful and poetic in what he's saying, it's important to know that what Shlomo is doing, he's not making these things up. This is all based on ancient teachings, it's based on the Alter Rebbe, it's based on Reb Nachman, it's based on Ishbitz. One of the genius things that Reb Shlomo did was that he can take these teachings and deliver them in a way that everybody could relate to. That's the brilliance of what he's doing. Yes.
I think I want to reinforce what you said. But I think a really brilliant teacher is someone who can make something complicated understandable, even to people who don't
Correct.
have much understanding.
Correct.
I experienced that twice in my life.
Correct. Okay, so now the point of it is that what he explained over here is that you don't just accept it as a simple fact that there's a month, it's 29.5353 days, and then comes another month, and then comes another month, and then comes another month. It's not stam, understand? Everything that you're encountering in this world is Hashem communicating with you in one way or another. Whether it's the people that you meet, or whether it's the Torah that you're learning, or whether it's the natural phenomena of the world, it's all part of Hashem's communicating with us and trying to teach us something. So the fact that there's a new month every 29 and a half days, Hashem is saying, guess what? Renew yourself, right? And learn from the moon what the process of renewal is. Okay? So, page 16. Oh, Shemit Chodesh. Kisha Baruch Hu bara et ha'olam. And this is the Gebal teaching over here. When God created the world, Hashemesh v'yareach hayu im oto or. Initially, right, the pasuk says, "Vayas Hashem, vayas Elokim eshnei ha'meorot hagdolim." God made these two big luminaries. So at first, the moon and the sun were in the same size. They had the same light. Hayareach ba lefnei Hashem. So the Medrash tells us that the moon came to God. V'amar and said, "Ze lo hogen shelishnei melachim yeh oto hakorach." It's not proper that the two kings should have the same energy. V'chen Hashem amar layareach. So God said, "Okay, beseder taktin et atzmacha, make yourself smaller." Right? Haolam, Anshe Hashemesh, the sun people, in the world, Masbirim Shashem Anishat HaYareach B'Glal Chutzpato. So this is usually understood that God punished the moon for the chutzpah. What are you coming and complaining for? So Hashem made him smaller. If this is the way God created you, so then stay that way. Why are you complaining? But the real people say like this. The moon is right. You can't have two chefs in one kitchen. And you can't have the same light for the sun and the moon. So what happened? The moon said to God, is that the only light that you can provide for the world? Light which shows us the external, superficial things? Hashem, don't you have a deeper light? So much deeper. Hashem so God answers the moon, you're the one who's going to do that. You're the one that's going to bring this deeper light to the world. Right? So how do you bring this deeper light? What do you learn from the moon in bringing this deeper light? Right? That from the moon you learn that once you become full, the only way to get deeper is by what? Getting smaller. By being more humble. Right? In other words, my cup is full now, right? And if you have some really special drink and you want to give me something to drink in my cup, I have to make space in order to receive it. The way that you make space is by being humble, anava. Okay?
I say a quick thing. I heard Shlomo said one of the reasons that the light of the moon is deeper than the light of the sun is because when the sun is out, it's light outside. When the moon is out, it's dark. So what is the moon? It's just a little light, but it's still dark outside. So Shlomo said, when everything is radiant in our lives and everything is wonderful, and I got a great job, I have a wonderful family, everything is good. So it's easy to be happy, b'simcha. What about when things get a little dark in life? Then it gets very challenging. So Shlomo says the lesson of the moon is even when it gets dark in life, find a little light like the moon that can help you make your way so you don't fall down, so you don't trip and fall on the rocks, so that when the sun comes out, you'll be able to, things will get better in your life, you'll be able to make it through that dark period. Find a little light like the moon to get you through that challenging time. That's why the light of the moon is on a deeper level.
It's deeper because it takes you
through the challenging times, through the darkness.
Yeah. The pasuk says, "Ashri hagever ashirti yasrenu ka." Fortunate is the man that God is rebuking, but it doesn't say the whole name; it just says Yud K, right? Because there's Yud K, Vav K. So Yud K is concealed light, and Vav Hey is revealed light. So the fortunate is the man that God is being tough with him, because that's a deeper light and a deeper blessing than the revealed light. Okay, in other words,
Why?
Because it forces you to go deeper and to figure out, what do I need to do with this?
Challenge.
Understand? It's the challenge. It's a real challenge, and that right. Sometimes somebody gives you a gift, and you think, and if it's like a nice shiny gift, hello, give him a book, and it's a nice shiny gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a car. So one kid got a car that works, the other kid got a car that doesn't work. Who's better off?
Car that works. People got the car that works.
Yes, initially, But the one who got the card that doesn't work, and he goes ahead and he figures out how to make it work, he got more. You understand? The other one who got the car that works, he'll never, so he knows, he gets into the car, he drives from gegangen. Okay? But the one who got the car that doesn't work, and he realizes, instead of saying, oh, look at what he gave me, a car that doesn't work, instead he realizes that he gave me a challenge, and from the challenge I'm going to grow, he's the one who's better off. Right? Right? That because he's challenged. Okay? And that's the same thing with what Jerry is saying about the moonlight. It's dark, but there's a little bit of light, and there's enough to go deeper and figure it out. So what we just said, David, is that when the moon said to God, like, two kings can't serve with the same crown. Mm-hmm. So the Rav Shlomo explained it in a deeper level. What the moon is saying to Hashem is that the sunlight just shows us the superficiality of everything. Isn't there any deeper light? And Hashem says, yes, there is deeper light, and since you're the one who asked for it, you're going to be the one to do it. Okay, so we're in the middle of page 16, a little bit past halfway. Mahu hasiman harishon shel adam amok. What's the first sign of a deep person? Anashim achitzoniyim hem tamid oto davar. Superficial people, they're always the same. Or shem ahavim otcha, or shem sonim otcha. Either they love you or they hate you. Or shem ahavim otcha ze kol kach shitchi v'chasar mashmut. And when they love you, it's so superficial, it doesn't mean much. And sheha yareach, but moon people mishtanim kol hazman. So here's another lesson from the moon. The moon's light is different every day. Yom echad ani ohev otcha, yom echad ani lo sovel otcha. A real person, a moon person, one day I love you, one day I can't stand you. Yom echad ani malei, one day I'm full, yom echad ani bechlal lo meir, and one day I'm not even giving any light. Kama shezeh yoter amiti, kach ze chadash b'chol rega. The more real something is, the more it is new at every moment. Hayali Rav Echad Moreh Gadol, I had this Rebbe, a great teacher, Shamar li, Mata pam tirtze liyot mashu ba'olam. If you're ever going to want to achieve something, to be somebody in the world, mashu yiyeh, whatever it may be, tzarich liyot barur lecha, clear to you that kol mashu yadata etmol hu chasar mashmarut legabei mashu mitchadesh hayam. You have to know that whatever you knew yesterday is meaningless for the newness of today. Now, it's not easy to live that way. It's not comfortable.
You can see it every day.
So now Rav Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev would not start davening every morning until he did tshuva.
Wow.
Now, you can imagine, what's Rav Levi Yitzchak Berditchev we're going to do tshuva on, right? In any case, one morning he couldn't find anything positive himself, and for a long time he didn't start davening until he finally hit him. Okay, Shalei Asani Goy, and I started dancing with that, Okay, so the point is, it's a new day, and this is what we were talking about before about cycles, right? Is it just another day? Is it just another day? Is it just another day? Is God just repeating himself and repeating himself and repeating himself? No, every moment is new. Every moment is new.
This is so deep and so powerful. And this has transformed my life already. It's transformed my marriage.
Baruch Hashem. Shlomo once told the story that one of his students went to the fair in Leipzig, and he came back with the new latest high-tech clock. And he came back to bring it as a gift to the Baal Shem Tov. Anyway, he went into Baal Shem Tov's room. Baal Shem Tov wasn't there, and he compared the time on the clock that he brought, or the watch that he brought, and the clock that was on the Baal Shem Tov's desk. So he went ahead and there was a discrepancy of a couple of minutes. He went ahead and adjusted the Baal Shem Tov's clock. Baal Shem Tov's comes back, and he says, "Who changed my clock?" And he comes up and he says, "Rebbe, I did. I got this new watch, like, high tech and everything, and so I adjusted your clock." So the Baal Shem Tov says, "Your clock is wrong. What I had was right." So he says, "But how do you know what time it is?" So he said, "How do you know that this is right?" So he says, "Because every moment is a different emanation of the divine name. And I know from that what time it is." So he says, "So then why do you have a clock on your desk?" He says, "Because I can't be up there all the time." You got to live in this world too. Okay, so every moment is new, and the point is that we have to be new every day. Hasod, page 17. Hachiyut shebarega zeh. So now this is a very typical Rav Shlomo Torah. The secret of what is the life energy at this moment? What needs to be done right now? I'm sure that you realize that God is the Yente. Yente is somebody that says the same thing 100 times. Hashem lo soved oto davar pamayim. God does not tolerate the same thing twice. Lo soved lezeh. Hashem eshu tamid oto davar. So the sun is always the same. Hayareach kol yom meir or acher b'shamayim. But the moon is always giving a new light, a different light. Kol yom Hashem tzarich memenu dvarim acherim. God is expecting something different from it every day. כשהצדיק הקדוש מיסטרליס נפטר, when the Holy Strelisker passed away, היו ילדיו לרבינו הקדוש ברוך הוא, and his children came to the Holy Vision, והוא שאל אותם, he asked them, מה היה הדבר הכי חשוב לאבא שלכם? What was the most important thing to your father? הם אמרו לאבא שלנו, for our father, הדבר הכי חשוב היה מה לעשות ברגע זה. The most important thing was what to do at this moment. I mentioned yesterday a story that Dari once told, with Shlomo's daughter, that she got him to come to do something at her school when they were living in Toronto. And she begged him, "Abba, please be on time, please be on time." And sure enough, he shows up late. She was so upset. Anyway, later in the day, she meets this girl from another class, and she says, "Your father saved my life. Your father came into the school, and he saw me standing in the hall because I was kicked out. And I was feeling terrible, and he spoke with me, it gave me so much encouragement." So Daria says, ever since then, she never holds it against her father if he's late. So Shlomo says, most people have these general principles of what should be done, what to do. But when they get to a particular moment, they don't know what to do. I know that every week there's Shabbos, and then once a year is Rosh Hashanah, once a year is Yom Kippur. But what should be done at every moment? What do I need to do? What do I need to do at this moment? That they don't know. Okay? And as a result, most of the time they do the wrong thing. Because they're not in touch with the moment. You can be a big scholar and not know what needs to be done right now. לפעמים מישהו writes עת לעשות לשם. לפעמים מישהו שואל אותך שאלה, sometimes a person asks you a question, משהו צריך עכשיו, אתה לא תדע. And what the person needs right now, you have no idea. זה כל כך עמוק לדעת מה צריכים לעשות ברגע זה. זו זכות גדולה. So important to know what to do at this moment. I'll give you an example. In the olden days, when women would capture their own chickens and things like that. Have a good day. women kasher their own chickens and so on, and like and the Jewish woman, she knew when there's a shiloh, right? So this woman comes to the Rav with a shiloh, and Mamish, he found this was it was an unusual case. There was a Rabbeinu Tam on that, and Rabbeinu Tam was matzivit, and he was a das yochid, but Rabbeinu Tam said it's mutter, right? And there's some other people involved in the story also. And then when the Rav was questioned, why were you matter when most of the days are machmer on this? So he said, because this woman, that's all the food she had for her family. No big deal to go and say, throw it out, The Fink said an interesting thing. By the way, if you have a chance tomorrow, you got to catch a halacha shiur with Fink.
Okay. What time is that?
11:15 over here, and then 12:30 teaches the smicha next door. So he said, how many, Switzerland is famous for milk and chocolate, right? How many cows do you think a regular farmer has in Switzerland?
How many cows?
How many milk cows? Yeah. Say a number.
2, 3, 5,
50.
50. Says
200.
a big farm in Switzerland is 11 or 12 cows.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
In America, a couple of thousand,
Right.
or at least a few hundred. Right? The point he was making also here. The point he was making was like this: people don't understand that in the olden days, a yid came with a shiloh on his cow.
That's it. That was it.
That's his parnosim for at least a half a year. It's not like, I'll go get another one.
Right.
You're talking about a yid is coming, is this kosher, is it not kosher? You're talking about a person's livelihood for a good half a year, at least. Right? Half of his possessions, maybe even more than half of his possessions are on the table. Is it kosher or not?
Big loss.
Very big loss. Today, the way the houses work, I don't even know if I want this to be on air, but the shecher stands, and they have two Pashto workers, and they take the chickens and they hold it for him, right? And he just goes slits, right? And then 60 at a time, and then they check it, and if they find any problem with one of them, they destroy it. They pour lye over it or whatever it is. Gegangen.
All 60.
All 60.
Not all of them.
Huh?
They
They want to minimize any shilas, whatever it is, any
1 out
problem.
of 60?
Even if they find every 60 they check.
Every 60.
No. Once he does 60, he checks the knife and I don't even know exactly, but in any case, it's mass production. It's mass production. It's not like it used to be. Okay? So, the economy has changed in that respect. You understand? So to say like this batch of chickens is not kosher anymore, they just check it, So, but in real times, so Rav Shlomo is saying is, okay, what do you need to do now? You understand? What's the right thing? What does Hashem want from you right now? That's the question. And there's a pasuk, Eis lasus Hashem hefelu toratecha. Check your general principles because right now it's different. Okay? The shilas we were talking about before. This is now these are the program,
New shilas.
New shilas. Okay. So let's take bin HaKlalim, page 18. So there's a time to get out of your general preconceived ideas. Atem yodim ha'inyan, adam omer yesh li haklalim sheli. A person says, I got my principles. Good. Madua ein tzedek ba'olam, says Rav Shlomo says a pretty wild statement here. Why is there no justice in the world? Ki yesh lam kol kach harbe klalim, they have so many principles. Kol haklalim einam shavim ki ktipat hashum, but all these principles are not worth more than the peel of a garlic. Tem yodim mashu, for example, ani ra'ev magia elad lemisada. A poor, hungry person comes to my restaurant, and I say to him, I can't help you now, because the weekend has arrived, and after Surim, we're going to be closed till Monday. That's how we operate. We're closed for the weekends. They're so stupid. Makol is the guy's poor and starving now. What is he supposed to do? Wait till Monday? What's the whole thing about the moon? It's the whole thing about faith. It's the lesson of the moon. The moon is always changing. Always so much deeper. Then if someone gives another example from education. Matai shemashiach yavo, that when Mashiach is going to come, it's clear to me that they're going to close all the sun schools. If you're a teacher in a sun school, go find another job now. You're not going to have a job once Mashiach comes. For example, let's say there's a kid. It's very difficult for them to achieve in school. What do the sun teachers do? So they give them a lousy mark. Right? I remember when I was teaching in high school in Montreal, I noticed that there was this teacher who taught like English literature in grade 8, 9, 10, and 11. And whatever mark the kid got in grade 8, let's say the kid got a 70 in grade 9, got a 70 in grade 10, got a 70 in grade 11. Right? If the kids would have known that, they didn't have to go to school the rest of the next 4 years, after the first test.
Right.
But if I'm a moon style teacher, I see how much effort they put in to get that 60, that 70. So I say to them, that little bit of light that's coming from you is more important to me, more precious to me than the light of the sun of the kid who gets a 90 without any effort. We never know. Some people can run 10,000 kilometers, and for another person, it's so hard to take even one step. Right? So what does the education system do? The education system just categorizes. You got a 60, you got an 80, you got a 90. But what about helping the kid who got a 60 go to a 65, go to a 70? That's why you're in education. You're not there to just say, oh, I'm evaluating you and that's all you're worth. Right? So you see what Rav Shlomo is doing, is taking all these things from the moon and applying it to our lives. How does that apply to my life? You understand? What is the fact that the moon is every day is new light? How does that apply to my life, right? Chaverim Yikarim, page 19. Kol Chodesh noladim mechadash. Every day we're getting born again. Chaverim Yikarim. And just to give you an example of where all this is coming from, for example, the Baal Shem Tov said, and there's a pasuk in Tehillim, Lolam Hashem Dvarcha Nitzav B'Shamayim. Baal Shem Tov explains that Hashem, your words of creation are being spoken at every moment. It's not that just once upon a time Hashem said, Yehi Rakia. Hashem is saying that now. If Hashem would stop speaking the words of creation, even for an instant, everything would disappear. It would go back to the way it was before creation. Right? In other words, it's new life every moment. So, Chaverim Yikarim, Tishmu Davar Echad Chashuv מאוד. Listen to another important lesson. Yesh Ke'ele Meitanu Anshei HaShemesh Shemule'im Mi'atzmam. There are amongst us some people, that they're full of themselves. Kol kach ge'im, they're so full of gaiva, they're such show-offs. Ma kol inyan hayareach, what's the whole thing about the moon? Barega shayareach malei, as soon as the moon becomes full, hayareach omer Hashem, the moon says to God, Ani kvar lo yachol lizbol et asmi, I can't stand myself anymore. Ani malei me asmi, I'm full of myself. Ze magil, it's disgusting. אני לא רוצה להסתכל במראה, I don't want to even look in the mirror. ריבונו של עולם, תן לי אור יותר עמוק. Hashem, give me a deeper light. So what does the moon have to do? It has to go become small again, right? לפי המסורת שלנו, הירח של החודש הזה אינו הירח מהחודש שעבר, זה ירח חדש. According to our tradition, the moon is shining in the sky this month. It's not the same as the one from the previous month. It's new. אחרי היום השביעי של החודש, after the seventh day of the month, כשהירח יותר מלא, when the moon is already more full, אנחנו יוצאים החוצה, מקבלים את פני הירח החדש בגאוות, and we do a special blessing to receive the new moon. המנהג הוא לומר זה לזה שלום עליכם. And in the blessings there of Kiddush Levana, we say Shalom Aleichem to each other. Ki'ilu Ritzonenu Lomar, when I just saw you a minute ago, right? We were sitting and we davened Marav together, and now we're going out and we're doing Kiddush Levana. And so why am I saying Shalom Aleichem to you? Ki'ilu Ritzonenu Lomar is as if we're wanting to say, Mi ata, who are you? Olam lo ra'it otcha. I never saw you. In other words, in this light, I never saw you in this new light. Right? What's the first sign that you're a really new person? And everybody appears to be different to you. Wow, the people are so beautiful. How come I didn't see it until now? Right?
He used to say it's not that you look different. He says it's they look different.
And you also look different to them.
Hopefully.
It's so beautiful.
Huh?
So beautiful.
It's a classic of
It's
Shlomo.
just so beautiful.
It's classic.
It's just so, it's amazing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
One after another. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he mamash gave meaning to life. He put it into
He
language
put it,
people
he-
understand.
Right.
It connects back to the first thing you started with in the share today. Now you see the 12 different, every Chodesh has a different
Permutation.
combination. Yeah, the moon it's the first light relationship to the earth, so it seems like it's the same. But the earth is being massaged around the whole, but we're not in the same place.
Right. You know, somebody said to the Lubavitch Rebbe, I'll give you a big donation if you'll come out and say that the earth goes around the sun instead of saying that the sun goes around the earth. The Rebbe said to him, you can give the donation, but I'm not going to say that. The Rebbe held, And he went on to explain to him, according to Einstein, how with the theory of relativity, and he basically, the Rebbe held that the Chachamim knew what they're talking about.
The sun goes around here.
Huh?
The sun goes around here.
Okay. But whichever way it is scientifically, the point is that, right, it's the way we see it.
Way we
right?
relate to it. All
The way
right.
we see the way we relate to it. The sun rises in the morning and sets at night, and then there's the moon, and so on. And all these are lessons, right? All these are lessons in like, you know, you ever hear the thing like, you know, why is it red at night? At sunset, why is the sky red, you know? So to remind you of Gehenna. Never heard that?
I heard because the world
The fires.
because the Mashiach didn't come.
Yeah, that's another teaching, right?
Yom Adin by 11th hour.
Yamadin, it's like saying, you know, the day's finishing. What did you do? Where are you going? Right? Okay, Mr. Shem tomorrow.
You know the Rosh Shlomo beautiful part he has on. They asked him, why is it that in Yiddishkeit the 24-hour Shabbos starts at 9, right? Sunrise. That's right. Yeah. So he says it's very simple. He said the whole world starts today in the morning. We start at night. Why? Because what do you do at night? Basically, you sleep at night. What do you do when you sleep? Basically, you dream. What does a Jew dream about when he's sleeping at night? He dreams about how beautiful the world is, how beautiful the world can be, and how I can make the world such a beautiful place. He says the Jew begins the day by sleeping because he wants to know how I can make the world such a beautiful place. And once you wake up, you know how beautiful the world can be. Now I can actually do something about it. But the rest of the world, they start their day, they don't.
Without a dream.
Without a dream. That's what
That's right.
So, Rosh Hashanah will run tomorrow.
Mr. Shem, we advertised it.
Okay, good.